And we're back to chop it up about the Chicago White Sox. This team was the epitome of disappointing last year as they strived for mediocrity to 81 and 81, the same record as the San Francisco Giants. Not much went well besides the Dylan Cease breakout. Um, there really just a lot of things went poorly for the Chicago White Sox last year.
I refuse to catch strays. The Giants will make better strides than this team. Although they did have a decent I can't say
No,
decent offseason, but
they did not.
this team is disappointing. This is a failed rebuild. I think we've talked about this before. It's just disappointment. That's one word to describe them.
I mean, for me, we got to get into the offseason. So their best, in my opinion, second best move they made was letting Tony La Russa retire and walk out. He was kind of a cancer into the clubhouse, in my opinion, and kind of the opinion of most people that watched the White Sox last year. And I think the White Sox need a culture change, and I think they're going to do that this year. But they lost Jose Abreu to the Astros, Johnny Cueto to the Marlins, Josh Harrison to the Phillies, AJ Pollock to the Mariners, Vince Velasquez to the Pirates, and Adam Engel to the Padres.
How do you let Jose Abreu walk?
I don't know. It's terrible. Like, I don't know. But they re-signed Elvis Andrus. They get Mike Clevenger. And then they get Andrew Benintendi on a 5-year, $75 million deal, which is what I would say is their best move of the offseason.
All of this is negated by the fact that they let.
Yeah, it's a disappointing offseason because you let Jose Abreu walk. He was your franchise cornerstone, and he's gone now.
I don't understand. I mean, you gotta imagine that Jose Abreu wanted to play for the White Sox. He was a White Sox. He was his whole career. I mean, that's like he probably wanted to come back, but they just didn't want to stay. Go ahead.
Would you want to play for the White Sox?
If I had played my entire career there and I was a White Sox legend, yes. Brad, go ahead.
AJ Pollock literally opted out of a contract and got less money just to not play in Chicago.
Okay,
the White Sox.
Yeah, no.
The White Sox last season, I'm not gonna say overall time or whatever, we're not a fun team to be a part of. They just weren't. And it stemmed from Tony La Russa. He's gone now. So I think this season is like I think I mentioned earlier, it's gonna be a stepping stone season to what their culture and what their drive is going to be. I think the big piece is going to be Tim Anderson. He's going to have to step up and be the leader of that clubhouse and do things to a certain degree to bring fun and bring life into that clubhouse. I think he has the ability to. He is a very, very polarizing player. And I'm excited to see what happens for this team. I'm not excited to watch this team play yet.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily sold. I'm right there with you, Steve. I don't know if this is enough to be like 5 teams you want to watch this season. This is not a team you want to watch. This is the team you want to probably turn the TV off for. They're not that interesting, and I feel like we're not even talking about the Johnny Cueto move. He was great last year. I mean, losing him was a bigger piece too. Not a bigger piece than Jose Abreu, but he was a big piece that they lost. Brad, what do you think about that?
He wasn't that good last year. He got really, really, really lucky, and it's showed so far this year, even though it's only been spring training / World Baseball Classic.
Johnny Cueto is the greatest pitcher of all time.
How was he in the Giants?
He didn't do crazy good, but he was postseason guy. Very, very important to our run with actually runs because we won a lot of rings back in the day.
He wasn't on your team back then.
Way back when,
Anyways, so their starting rotation without Johnny Cueto is their ace Dylan Cease, who established himself last year as one of the most dominant pitchers in baseball. High strikeout rate and very high walk rate. That's concerning. Lance Lynn took a while to rebound last year. Then through the last, I think it was 14 starts of the season, he had a 2.8 ERA, which is Lance Lynn locking back in. He had a new off-speed pitch, a sweeping slider slurve, really. It took the shape of a slurve, and it was really effective. We've seen in the World Baseball Classic so far when he was really good. He went 5 innings, only allowed 1 run earned. He's starting tonight for Team USA. Do tune into that. No, it's Saturday. It's Saturday when we're recording this. So by the time you hear this on Monday, you will know, or you will hear this on Tuesday. By the time you hear this episode, you will know what happened in that game. But last year, Lance Lynn kind of recovered. He really didn't walk anyone, which was a really good sign for him. And then their third like big piece of they're supposed to be big piece is Lucas Giolito, who was just a huge disappointment last year. And then they've also got Kopech and Clevenger.
I've never really been sold on Giolito. I've never been on the train. I feel like, but I mean, there's a lot of upside with Kopech. Clevenger, is he cleared? He's cleared to.
Yeah,
So
all
he's
charges were
cleared.
dropped.
So I mean, this is I mean, Clevenger even without the charges is still not that good. Last year on the Padres did not pitch that well. Kind of hope to see a rebound from him, but I think this top the upside of the rotation is pretty good actually. I think if everything clicks, this is not one of the best, but it is a middle of the pack rotation that could probably hold down the fort if the offense provides some power.
I mean, Giolito's best was his Cy Young candidate, right? Like he was up there in what season was it?
2020.
2020.
Yeah.
So I mean, at his best, he's a Cy Young candidate. I just don't think he's ever going to reach that again. I think he is probably at best now in his career number 3. And I mean, he was a Nats prospect. He came up, traded him for I think Adam Eaton. And my dad always has liked him. So I mean, I'm gonna root for him, but I don't see the upside anymore at this point in his career. I think maybe if he goes somewhere else, maybe a fresh change of scenery can help him. But I think this is a contract year, right?
Yep.
So I think he'll no matter what happens, I think he'll end up walking this offseason.
Yeah, I think it's also you have to take into account this is also a walk year for Lance Lynn. This is the second year of his 2-year extension. Clevenger's also on a 1 year. So there's 3 of their 5 starting pitchers are all on contract years. So there's already a chip on their shoulder. Wow. Shoulder. Lance Lynn obviously wants to rebound. He's competitive. He'll grab his junk when he strikes you out. Giolito, he's young. He can get a big contract if he's good. And Clevenger's also looking for that contract. This is why he signed the 1 year to rebuild his stature as a player. Giolito's concerning, but I can see a lot of upside from this starting rotation. It's just to what degree is it actually going to perform? Because I trust Lance Lynn and I trust Dylan Cease, but it's 3, 4, 5 that I'm really unsure about.
I definitely agree
Yeah,
with that.
there's definitely reason to be worried. I mean, even Dylan Cease in his first start in spring training was very concerning. I don't know what happened. I don't know you let it get to that point either, but what was it, like 10 runs in like 1 inning?
It was like 7 in 0.2, but they weren't 0.2 continuous innings. They had to like roll over the first inning. Yeah.
I'm not that worried about a spring training start, but I do trust Dylan. I trust Lance Lynn the most in this. Dylan Cease has had this one breakout year. Could see regression. I don't think we will, but for a young guy like Dylan Cease, I'm not necessarily entirely sold that he'll be this consistent his whole career. If we see one more, I think I can consider him more of a reliable guy.
That's fair.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Let's get over to their bullpen. They got Kendall Graveman, Aaron Bummer, what a bummer. Joe Kelly, Ronaldo Lopez, Jake Dykman, Jose Ruiz, Nick Avila, and Jimmy Lambert. They also have Garrett Crochet and Liam Hendrick both injured.
Yeah, and that's a big hit to their bullpen. I mean, those 2 injured guys are 2 of the best guys in their bullpen in total. I mean, I love Garrett Crochet. He's amazing. I love left-handed flamethrowers. He will not be back until mid-May, most likely. Missed the entire season last year. So, I mean, Tommy John does hurt you quite a bit. I'm not sure how the velocity is going to change with the injury. Partial UCL tears are pretty bad. But this isn't the worst bullpen. It's definitely below, like, it's not the best. It's very low actually.
Remember last year when we were like so excited for this bullpen?
Yeah.
And it just wasn't.
A lot of down seasons from everyone.
How was Liam Hendricks?
He was solid.
He was great.
I think he led
great.
baseball in saves.
No, not
No, it was
last year.
classic.
I was wondering how he's doing with his
you mean like with the
cancer.
Surgery? With the cancer?
I'm not sure. I'm assuming he's going to be out for a little while. He's also got to rebuild his strength after that. It's an awful fight. Again, we've
Yeah.
emphasized it. We would do wish him our best. Like, cancer's no joke. Um, their bullpen's good. I like Graveman. I like Bummer. I like Kelly. I like Lopez. I like Diekman. I don't really know about Ruiz, Avila, or Lambert. But I think Crochet was an early season injury, so he might be back later this year. We don't know the timetable for Hendricks, so that kind of leaves three shaky arms in that bullpen, which could be rotated in and out. Um, it's okay. It's middle of the pack rotation for a middle of the pack team.
Yeah, I mean, this is another team that's probably gonna, finish 500 again. They love that. They love balance, as all things should be. They love just, being the exact same on both sides. And I think that's kind of what we're looking at again this season. I mean, it's just mediocre everything. I'm just not sold.
I like that they have a new
I'm
manager,
not sold on it either. Yeah, that's their best thing that they have. Who is their new manager? Do you know?
Pedro Gafal.
Okay. So let's head over to their lineup. They got Tim Anderson, Luis Robert Jr., Andrew Benintendi, Eloy Jimenez, Yohan Moncada, Andrew Vaughn, Yasmani Grandal, Oscar Colas, and Elvis Andrus. Off their bench, they got Sebi Zavala, Gavin Sheets, Jake Berger, and Luri Garcia. It's not a terrible lineup,
I don't know.
but it's not great.
At some point, Louise Robert has to be good, right? We've only been saying it for
Nope.
4 seasons now.
He definitely
we
hasn't
will
been
ne-
great. He's a Byron Buxton type of guy. He's a guy that when he's on the field, he's very good. He's never been bad. I mean, he was forced onto the field last year during his wrist injury, where he was just swinging and missing and everything on purpose because he was pissed at Tony La Russa. So I think this season, obviously, handling injuries better, he will be good on the field. I mean, he's got the 162 game average of like 30 homers, 30 doubles. It's like he's got the hit tool, and he's actually very good in the field as well. He's got these tools to be a 5-tool guy. It's just the injuries. I another center fielder with high injury risk. It's like I'm like a broken record. This happens every time. But if you get a full season out of him, I don't see why he's not the best player on this team.
high injury risk, no walks at all, bad chase.
Nope.
I mean,
Well.
this is a matter of fact. Tim Anderson's pretty solid. Like, he's proven that his high average in 2019 wasn't just some fluky season. He's actually like a legitimate ball player. Benintendi, I think he should be the leadoff hitter in all honesty. Again, we talked about him on our Yankees episode a couple episodes ago, but we were basically just saying that like he's a quality at bat. He is 10% above average. He will be consistently solid. He'll play decent defense, and he'll be, a good contact bat. He's going to have a professional at bat every single time.
Yeah, I mean, what's kind of surprising is I've been going through these batters in this spring training, and there's actually a lot of batters that are, kind of actually performing at a high level right now. I'm not sure how it's going to translate, but I mean, Eloy Jimenez, if he's healthy, is also another guy that I mean, there's a lot of health issues on this team. I think when healthy, everyone healthy, this is a team that could be, a top 10 offense in baseball. It's just the injuries. And also, Yohan Moncada is a bit of a mystery because we saw some signs of a breakout, and then he, disappeared, and then he broke out again, and then he showed regression again. I don't know where I stand on him right now. He could be a guy that, sneakily breaks out, but I don't know if he's going to do it. Just because he's been so on and off every year.
And another guy I really don't understand is Yasmani Grandal. Like, he was so good in 2021, and then he just fell off a freaking cliff, like nosedived off a cliff in 2022. Like, is he bad? Is he good? I don't know. I genuinely don't.
I mean, this is another guy
I
with
mean-
an injury, right? Not a full season last year.
No, I think it was pretty full season. Like, I think there was one injury, but he played 99 games.
Yeah, I mean, his hit tool just kind of vanished. I don't know. I mean, he is in his age 34 season, and for a catcher that's been, getting pretty consistent time behind the plate, it does make sense to see some regression at this point in his career. I don't know if it's over for him, but
It's just 370 points of OPS regression.
yeah, that's just horrible.
Yeah. It's also he had
Um,
an insane on base percentage given his batting average in 2021. He had a 240 batting average with a 420 on base percentage. And it's just because of an elite walk tool. But like, I don't know about Grandal anymore. I don't know about Moncada. Vaughn and Andrews are shaky. Andrews somehow was really good last year on the White Sox. Oscar Colas is a rookie. We're gonna talk about him real quick. He's had a solid minor league career so far, short, but 895 OPS across 3 levels. He's projected to be their opening day left fielder. Strikes out a ton. His power tool is his biggest tool, but the fielding has room left to grow. It's slightly below average at the moment.
That just sounds like every other player on this White Sox team. You got a lot of power upside, a lot of strikeouts, and mediocre gloves. That just sounds like a lot of players on this team. I don't know if it's just runs consistent throughout the system, but like you make a whole team full of these guys and you get a 500 baseball team. So I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. You gotta get some sort of contact guy, and I think that's what they tried to do in Benintendi, obviously. But there's so many. I don't know. There's so many holes in this lineup that need to be filled. I'm not sold.
I
Um,
agree.
I think health is really the biggest factor in this lineup, to be honest.
I mean, we'll talk about it in a little bit, but I think this is like a high volatility team, but like that's not saying a lot because the ceiling's not very high at all, in all honesty. If that makes sense, right? Like I
Okay,
don't know,
let's think
we'll
about it.
talk about it
Everything
in a little
goes
bit.
right. Everything goes right.
Uh,
I don't even know.
Everything
Yeah.
goes right. You got 3 pitchers that are probably, in that conversation of being like 1 or 2 starters, being Giolito, Lynn, and Cease. And the bullpen, I mean, I guess Crochet comes back from Tommy John and is just as effective as he was before, which is highly unlikely unless your name is Justin Verlander. And then you just survive a whole season. And I mean survive a whole season without Luis Robert, Eloy Jimenez, mainly those two getting hurt the whole season, which is nearly impossible as well.
Fair enough. You guys ready to get into some predictions?
Yeah, I'd
Yep.
say that. Let's let Tom kick it off.
It's always Tom kick. I'm just kidding. Okay.
I kicked it off last time.
I got them going 81 and 81. The same as last year. I don't think that's a hot take. That's just how they roll. Team MVP, I got Luis Robert. I think this is gonna be his first full season, and I really think that this will be his like true breakout. Because I mean, you can't really have a breakout without playing a whole season. So this will be his true breakout. So I have him as my breakout as well. Most important player. This is interesting for me. And there's a lot of players you can pick on this team because there's a lot of players that need to make a difference. But I think Yohan Moncada might not be a bad pick for most important player just because he's been so inconsistent. If we see good play from him, it would kind of turn this offense around. As for the Cy Young, I put Dylan Cease. I think he'll not repeat, but be just as effective as last season.
Fair enough. Um, for the record, I was a whole win higher than Tom. I have them at 82 and 80. It's just flip of the coin in one random game. Are they better or worse than the team from last year? And I have their MVP as Tim Anderson. I think he does try and energize this team, but ultimately, I just think there's too many things that can go wrong where something's going to go wrong. Something will go wrong. And even no matter how much he tries and energizes them, tries to pump blood into their veins, it's just not enough. And with that said, though, the correct answer for their Cy Young is Dylan Cease because he is their best pitcher. He's a top 10 pitcher in baseball, maybe just outside of that. And for their breakout, I put Oscar Colas because you know what? A young rookie with maybe an opportunity to get consistent playing time, opportunity to grow in Major League Baseball. And I'm going to do a swear here. Their most important player is giving a shit because it's just everyone giving a shit. Because last year, it really didn't look like anyone cared. It really did not look like there was no passion, there was no enthusiasm, there's no wanting to win. In order for this team to do that, they have to want to win baseball games every single day. It's just like they didn't have that last year. And if they have it this year, then maybe there's a chance they amount to something, but I don't know how likely that is.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
fair.
I agree with that take. I mean, I looked at some of these guys at bats and they look like they were just like swinging a pool noodle. I'm not even saying like that because they were swinging bad. They were just swinging with no effort. They're a low effort team, and that I feel like they're getting what they put in, and that is 500 ball. I don't know. Steps.
So for me, I flipped Brad's record as I'm going 80 and 82. MVP, I was right there with Brad at Tim Anderson, and Cy Young also right there with Dylan Cease. Most important, I also have is Tim Anderson because, like I said earlier, he needs, and like Brad mentioned and touched on, he needs to energize his club. He is the leader now. Jose Abreu is gone. He is the head honcho in in that clubhouse. And he needs to show it. He needs to pump everything he has in the Chicago White Sox this year. And he needs to show out because it is a contract year for him. And I think he will show out. Breakout, I have Gavin Sheets. I think one of Eloy or Robert is going to go down with an injury, and I think he's going to get his opportunity to play every day, and he's going to show out with it.
I think with Eloy Jimenez, all of his injuries have just been him sucking in left field. And now that he'll have the opportunity to play DH every day, it might actually prevent an injury or two.
It's fair.
For the ceiling of this team, I think we talked about it that any of the top 3 teams in the Central could win. I think this team is. I have them a whole win better than the Twins, right? But I think they're less likely than the Twins to win the division.
Yeah, because it's less likely to go right because there's a lot of things that have to go correct. You know, a lot more things have to click in this lineup for it to go right. But I think they're right about like what 89. Where we put the?
What was their 2021 record?
That's a good question. Stevs, I'm just kidding. I got you guys.
93 and 69.
Oh, you guys are quick.
Tom's not
Okay.
got us, guys.
Like, is it that?
I don't think they're no.
I mean
'Cause I don't
that
think
was,
they had Jose Abreu,
They did.
but they didn't have Dylan Cease.
The 2021.
but they had Giolito played pretty well.
They
You
had
just need players to step up, and that's how it was then, and it's gonna be the same now.
who
I,
was
I would
so
say
good?
88.
I would say 90.
They had Rodon.
Yeah, that was the difference. I forgot.
They had Carlos Rodon, who was fantastic. Their bullpen was pretty solid. Yeah, I think this team is not as good ceiling wise as that team. So I'm gonna go 88 to 90 wins.
Say yeah, around there. And their floor, if everything goes downhill, is like a
I would say about like 79 or 80 because everything last year went wrong.
no.
A lot of things went wrong last year, and they still finished 500. I don't know.
I was gonna say like 72 and 90.
That's
I
no
would
incorrect.
say like 75 is like the highest floor I can give them.
All right, Luis Robert gets hurt again. Andrew Benintendi plays how he did on the Yankees. Eloy Jimenez gets hurt again. Elvis Andrews is Elvis Andrews. Oscar Colas isn't ready. Grandal repeats his 22. Cease can go win the Cy Young Award. They can still suck. Mike Trout wins MVP awards on the Angels.
Yeah.
Lance Lynn isn't the same. Giolito is last year. Kopech gets injured. Clevenger's what he did last year. That's a 72 win team. And that's saying that like the Royals or someone is a little bit better. Because remember, the White Sox have to play every other team in baseball. They have to play the East. They have to play the West. They got to play the other East and the other West. There's a recipe for them to go 72 and 90.
You sound like Joey Votto, man, with your hypothetical situation, man. I mean,
But it's
No.
not.
because
But here's the
But
thing: there's no
that's what
aliens
a
involved.
floor is. That's what a floor is everything goes down bad. That's what a floor is. And
what if Luis
Brad's
Robert
right.
just like
This
what if
team
his
is
arms
not
just fall off when he
good.
swing or something? That would be really bad.
That's
Like,
the
but that
floor.
could happen, but it's not going to.
But here's the thing: we're
Yeah,
not
but
treating
Tom,
the floor
we're
as the
talking-
25th percentile.
we're talking about
Zero-
a floor. What is
The first
what is
is
the
this thing.
the
Zero.
absolute worst this team can perform?
77. 77 is the floor for me. What do you guys think?
So
I'm
you
closer
think
to-
that the floor for this team is higher than the floor for the Baltimore Orioles?
Hey, don't look at me like that. Don't look at me like that. After seeing such a bad season from the White Sox last year, without Rodon and without all the big pieces that they needed, they still went 81 and 81.
They had
So
Jose Abreu.
I know, and that subtracts a couple wins, which puts them at 77.
But last year wasn't everything going wrong.
A lot went wrong. I mean, you didn't
Tim
get
Anderson was
lot
still
went
solid.
It was just
Tim
Tim and
Anderson was
Dylan.
solid. Him, Dylan, yes, Dylan. First name basis. But
Yeah.
let me pull up the 2022 Chicago White Sox, and I'll see if your
They were
argument is valid or
abysmal.
you're just talking out of your bum.
I'm not talking out of my bum. Don't even worry about it.
Abreu was their best offensive piece. Eloy Jimenez
Yeah.
was pretty solid. Luis Robert was mid. Tim Anderson was okay, but there was no real slugging there. Then let's look at their Elvis Andrews was fantastic somehow. Remember they had Dallas Keuchel to start the season.
Yeah.
Johnny Cueto, they had him. Michael Kopech was serviceable but not good. Lance Lynn was serviceable but not good. They had Liam Hendricks. Like their bullpen was decent.
Giolito was atrocious.
Yes, that is true. Like this isn't last season wasn't the absolute floor.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, I accept. What do you guys say? Like 35?
72 and 90.
God, I don't want to do that.
I would
That's fine.
say I'd say try and meet in the middle.
73 and 89.
I accept.
All
That's
right. That'll do it for this episode of the 4A Baseball Podcast. Everything up through these two teams, the entire National League, the AL East, the Royals, and the Tigers are all out now. If you want to go listen to those, go check them out. We got 3 more episodes left after this. We will see you all next time on the 4A Baseball Podcast. Peace.